table. Betwabu, beautiful people. Betwabu. Sawubona siyene. We are finishing up We're finishing up Jeremiah today. And we are starting Lamentations. All right. Let's see. Betwabu. All right, y'all. It is Friday. Happy Friday. July the 17th, 2020, day 201. We are reading Jeremiah, which is the last chapter, Jeremiah 52, and we're starting the book of Lamentations, chapter 1 and chapter 2. All right, so let's get started. Zedekiah was 120 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. And he did that which was evil in the eyes of Yahuwah, according to all that Jehoiakim had done. For through the anger of Yahuwah it came to pass in Jerusalem and Judah, till he had cast them out from his presence, that Zedekiah had rebelled against the king of Babylon. And it came to pass in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th month, in the 10th day of the month, that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came, he and all his army, against Jerusalem, and pitched against it, and built forts against it round about. Like, they still haven't learned. They done came and got Zedekiah and everything, and I'm like, did you not see what happened to your father? People think they can beat the system. So the city was besieged until the 11th year of King Zedekiah. And in the 4th month, and the 9th day of the month, the famine was sore in the city, so that there was no bread for the people of the land. Then the city was broken up, and all the men of war fled, and went forth out of the city by night by the way of the gate between the two walls, which was by the king's garden. Now the Chaldeans were by the city round about, and they went by the way of the plain. But the army of the Chaldeans pursued after the king, and overtook Zedekiah in the plains of Jericho, and all his army was scattered from him. And then they took the king, and carried him up unto King Babylon, unto the king of Babylon, to Riblah, in the land of Hamath, where he gave judgment upon him. And the king of Babylon slew the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes, and slew all the princes of Judah in Riblah. Then he put out the eyes of Zedekiah, and the king of Babylon bound him in chains, and carried him to Babylon, and put him in prison until the day of his death. We read this in another part of here. And the king of Babylon slew the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes, and he also slew all the princes of Judah in Riblah. Then he put out the eyes of Zedekiah and the king of Babylon, and bound him in chains, and carried him to Babylon, and put him in prison to the day of his death. Now in the 5th month, in the 10th day of the month, which was the 19th year of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came Nebuzaradan, captain of the guard, which served the king of Babylon, into Jerusalem, and burned the house of Yahuwah and the king's house, and all the houses of Jerusalem, and all the houses of the great men burned he with fire. And all the army of the Chaldeans that were with the captain of the guard break down all the walls of Jerusalem round about. Yeah, it does, right? But I think this was we definitely read this in a couple chapters before. I think this is just kind of reminiscing about what happened, just kind of like giving an overview. Then Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, carried away captive certain of the poor of the people, and the residue of the people that remained in the city, and those that fell away, that fell to the king of Babylon, and the rest of the multitude. But Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, let certain of the poor of the land. Yeah, we absolutely did. Yeah, we read this. Remember, because this was when Jeremiah was first telling them, Yahuwah said that he was going to come. Y'all need to submit to him. And those that submit, he'll let stay. Remember, who was it? It was in the same part where, before they killed Gedaliah. Yeah, this is almost reading word for word. But Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, left certain of the poor of the land for vine dressers and for husbandmen. Also the pillars of brass that were in the house of Yahuwah, and the bases, and the brazen sea that was in the house of Yahuwah, the Chaldeans brake, and carried away all the brass of them to Babylon. The cauldrons also, and the shovels, and the snuffers, and the bowls, and the spoons, and the vessels of brass wherewith they ministered, took they away. And the basins, and the fire pans, and the bowls, and the cauldrons, and the candlesticks, and the spoons, and the cups, that which was of gold and gold, and that which was of silver and silver, took the captain of the guard away. The 2 pillars, 1 sea, and 12 brazen bulls that were under the bases, which King Solomon had made in the house of Yahuwah. The brass of all these vessels was without weight. And concerning the pillars, the height of 1 pillar was 18 cubits, and the fillet of 12 cubits did compass it, and the thickness thereof was 4 fingers, it was hollow. And the chapiter of brass was upon it, and the height of 1 chapiter was 5 cubits, with network, and pomegranates upon the chapiters round about it, all of brass. The second pillar also, and the pomegranates were like unto these. And there were 96 pomegranates on the side, and all the pomegranates upon the network were 100 round about. And the captain of the guard took Sariah the chief priest, and Zephaniah the second priest, and the 3 keepers of the door. He took also out of the city a eunuch which had the charge of the men of war, and 7 men of them that were near the king's person, which were found in the city, and the principal scribe of the host, who mustered the people of the land, and 60 men of the people of the land that were found in the midst of the city. So Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, took and brought them to the king of Babylon, to Riblah. And the king of Babylon smote them and put them to death in Riblah in the land of Hamath. Thus Judah was carried away captive out of his own land. This is the people whom Nebuchadnezzar carried away captive in the 7th year, 3,000 Jews and 23. In the 18th year of Nebuchadnezzar, he carried away captive from Jerusalem 832 persons. In the 23rd year of Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, carried away captive of the Jews 745 persons. All the persons were 4,600. Let me see something real quick. Okay, so for consecutive years, which we can also see that happen, like if you go and you look up the slave trade, they didn't get them all in one whop. They kept coming back time after time over the course of years, taking out all of our people, removing them from the land and scattering them. Okay, that's what I was looking at. It just caught my attention. Verse 31, and it came to pass in the 7th and 30th year of the captivity of Jehoiachin, king of Judah, in the 12th month, in the 25th day of the month, that evil Merodach, king of Babylon, in the 1st year of his reign, lifted up the head of Jehoiachin, the king of Judah, and brought him forth out of prison, and spake kindly unto him, and set his throne above the throne of kings that were with him in Babylon, and changed his prison garments, and he did continually eat bread before him all the days of his life. And for his diet there was a continual diet given him of the king of Babylon, every day a portion unto the day of his death, all the days of his life. Betwabu, TT. All right, beautiful people, that was the last chapter of Jeremiah, which was Jeremiah chapter 52. Now we're starting the book of Lamentations, and we're going to read the first 2 chapters. All right, and remember, Lamentations, I'm not sure if you realize it, but the entire book of Lamentations is about, he's lamenting over King Josiah. All right, so, but you find that out, like, if you read the Apocrypha. And I think that was in Jasher. It may have not been Jasher, but I know it's in the Apocrypha where I read it. I'm like, well, oh, snap. That whole book he's talking about King Josiah. Yeah, so, all right. Just in case you didn't know. And I'll find that. I'm going to look for it today. When I find exactly where it is, I'll post it in the comment section. All right, y'all. Lamentations chapter 1. How doth the city sit solitary that was full of people? How is she become as a widow? She that was great among the nations and princes among provinces, how is she become tributary? She weepeth sore in the night, and her tears are on her cheeks. Among all her lovers she hath none to comfort her, and all her friends have dealt treacherously with her. They are become her enemies. Judah is gone into captivity because of affliction, and because of great servitude she dwelleth among the heathen. She findeth no rest. All her persecutors overtook her between the straits. Of course, it's talking about the overall. What about the roll of lamentations? Tiffany, the roll of lamentations. You're talking about another book. Hold on. It's the same thing. Lamentations, the roll of lamentations. It's the same thing. That's why when you said that, I double checked it because I remember seeing that. But the roll of lamentations is the book of lamentations. Okay. You said ignore that. Okay. Then you caught me off guard for a second. I was like, wait, is there another book? But I remember seeing it, so I checked. It's in my Sefer because it has it in the Sefer. Lamentations, also known as the roll of lamentations. Okay. All right. Judah is gone into captivity because of affliction and because of great servitude. She dwelleth among the heathen. She findeth no rest. All her persecutors overtook her between the straits. The ways of Zion do mourn, because none come to the solemn feast. All her gates are desolate. Her priests sigh. Her virgins are afflicted, and she is in bitterness. And like I was saying, it's also about what's happening to Israel and Jerusalem, as you will see. But it's also talking about King Josiah when it gets to that particular part. Her adversaries are the chief. Her enemies prosper, for Yahuwah hath afflicted her. For the multitude of her transgressions, her children are gone out into captivity before the enemy. And from the daughter of Zion, all her beauty is departed. Her princes are become like the harts that find no pasture, and they are gone without the strength before the pursuer. Jerusalem remembered in the days of her affliction and of her miseries all her pleasant things that she had in the days of old, when her people fell into the hand of the enemy, and none did help her. The adversaries saw her and did mock at her Sabbaths. Jerusalem hath grievously sinned, therefore she is removed. All that honoreth her despise her, because they have seen her nakedness. Yea, she sigheth and turneth backward. Her filthiness is in her skirts. She remembereth not her last end. Therefore she came down wonderfully. She had none to comfort her. O Yahuwah, behold my affliction, for the enemy hath magnified himself. The adversary hath spread out his hand upon all her pleasant things, for she hath seen that the heathen entered into her sanctuary, whom thou didst command that they should not enter into thy congregation. All her people sigh and seek bread. They have given their pleasant things for meat to relieve the soul. Tootie, why did I sit still? What is you doing, girl? Okay. All right. You good? Okay. All right. Hair in the face. Okay. I read that. I read it again. Her filthiness is in her skirts. She remembered not her last end. Therefore she came down wonderfully. She had none to comfort her. O Yahuwah, behold my affliction, for the enemy hath magnified himself. The adversary hath spread out his hand upon all her pleasant things, for she hath seen that the heathen entered into her sanctuary, whom thou didst command that they should not enter into thy congregation. All of her people sigh, they seek bread. They have given their pleasant things for meat to relieve the soul. See, O Yahuwah, and consider, I am become vile. Is it nothing to you, all ye that pass by? Behold, and see if there be any sorrow like unto my sorrow, which is done unto me, wherewith Yahuwah hath afflicted me in the day of his fierce anger. From above he hath sent fire into my bones, and it prevaileth against them. He hath spread a net for my feet. He hath turned me back. He hath made me desolate and faint all the day. The yoke of my transgression is bound by his hand. They are wreathed and come upon my neck. He hath made my strength to fall. Yahuwah hath delivered me into their hands, from whom I am not able to rise up. Yahuwah hath trodden underfoot all my mighty men in the midst of me. He hath called an assembly against me to crush my young men. Yahuwah hath trodden the virgin, the daughter of Judah, as in the winepress. For these things I weep. My eye runneth down with water, because the comforter that should relieve my soul is far from me. My children are desolate, because the enemy prevailed. Zion spreadeth forth her hands, and there is none to comfort her. Yahuwah hath commanded concerning Jacob that his adversaries should be round about him. Jerusalem is as a mistress woman among them. Yahuwah is righteous, for I have rebelled against his commandment. Hear, I pray you, all people, and behold my sorrow. My virgins and my young men are gone into captivity. I called for my lovers, but they deceived me. My priests and my elders gave up the ghost in the city, while they sought their meat to relieve their souls. Behold, O Yahuwah, for I am in distress. My bowels are troubled. My heart is turned within me, for I have grievously rebelled. Abroad the sword bereaved, and at home there is death. They have heard that I sigh. There is none to comfort me. All my enemies have heard of my trouble. They are glad that thou hast done it. Thou wilt bring the day that thou hast called, and they shall be like unto me. Let all their wickedness come before thee, and do unto them as thou hast done unto me for all my transgressions. For my sighs are many, and my heart is faint. Last chapter for today, Lamentations chapter 2. How hath Yahuwah covered the daughter of Zion with a cloud in his anger, and cast down from heaven unto the earth the beauty of Israel, who remembered not his footstool in the day of his anger. Yahuwah hath swallowed up all the habitations of Jacob, and hath not pitied. He hath gone down in wrath the strongholds of the daughter of Judah. He hath brought them down to the ground. He hath polluted the kingdom and the princes thereof. He hath cut off in his fierce anger all the horn of Israel. He hath drawn back his right hand from before the enemy, and he burned against Jacob like a flaming fire, which devoureth round about. He hath bent his bow like an enemy. He stood with his right hand as an adversary, and slew all that were pleasant to the eye. In the tabernacle of the daughter of Zion, he poured out his fury like fire. Yahuwah was as an enemy. He hath swallowed up Israel. He hath swallowed up all her palaces. He hath destroyed his strongholds, and hath increased the daughter of Judah mourning and lamentation. And he hath violently taken away his tabernacle. Got it. And he hath violently taken away his tabernacle, as if it were of a garden. He hath destroyed his places of the assembly. Yahuwah hath caused the solemn feasts and Sabbaths to be forgotten in Zion, and he despised the indignation of his anger, the king and the priests. Yahuwah hath cast off his altar. He hath arbored his sanctuary. He hath given up into the hand of the enemy the walls of her palaces. They have made a noise in the house of Yahuwah, as in the day of a solemn feast. Yahuwah hath purposed to destroy the wall of the daughter of Zion. He hath stretched out a line. He hath not withdrawn his hand from destroying. Therefore he made the rampart and the wall to lament, and they languish together. Her gates are sunk into the ground. He hath destroyed the broken bars. Her kings and her princes are also among the Gentiles. The law is no more. Her prophets also find no vision from Yahuwah. The elders of the daughters of Zion sit upon the ground and keep silence. They have cast up dust upon their heads. They have girded themselves with sackcloth. The virgins of Jerusalem hang down their heads to the ground. My eyes do fill with tears. My bowels are troubled. My liver is poured upon the earth for the destruction of the daughter of my people, because the children and the sucklings swoon in the streets of the city. They say to their mothers, where is corn and wine? When they swoon as the wounded in the streets of the city, when their soul was poured out into their mother's bosom. What thing shall I take to witness for thee? That thing shall I liken to thee, O daughter of Jerusalem. What shall I equal to thee, that I may comfort thee, O virgin daughter of Zion? For thy breach is great like the sea. Who can heal thee? Thy prophets have seen vain and foolish things for thee, and they have not discovered thine iniquity to turn away thy captivity, but have seen for thee false burdens and causes banishment. That's a whole lot. He pretty much said, everybody's now, they're in tears and stuff. Jerusalem has been taken. Everybody crying now. They're trying to pray in sackcloth and ashes, and they looking for the law, but it's all in vain now, because your time has run out. And he said, where are the prophets? The prophets who could have turned you back to righteousness, but they prophesied false things unto you. I'll read that again. Verse 14. Thy prophets have seen vain and foolish things for thee, and they have not discovered thine iniquity. Like, they haven't told you, all these prophets, they haven't told you what you was doing wrong, but they turned you away. Thy prophets have seen vain and foolish things for thee. They have not. Girl, you is going to have to keep still. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm not keep reading this. Hop down. Okay, hold on. You gonna keep still? Okay. All right, let's try this again. Verse 14. Thy prophets have seen vain and foolish things for thee. They have not discovered thine iniquity to turn away thy captivity, but have seen for thee false burdens and causes of banishment. All that pass by clap their hands at thee. They hiss and wag their head at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, Is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth? All thine enemies have opened their mouth against thee. They hiss and gnash the teeth. They say, We have swallowed her up. Certainly this is the day that we look for. We have found, we have seen it. Yahuwah have done it which he hath devised. He hath fulfilled his word that he hath commanded in the days of old. He hath thrown down and have not pitied, and he hath caused thine enemies to rejoice over thee. He hath set up the horn of thine adversaries. Their heart cried unto Yahuwah, O wall of the daughter of Zion. Let tears run down like a river day and night. Give thyself no rest. Let not the apple of thine eye cease. Arise, cry out in the night. In the beginning of the watches, pour out thy heart like water before the face of Yahuwah. Lift up thy hands toward him for the life of thy young children that faint for hunger in the top of every street. Behold, O Yahuwah, and consider to whom thou hast done this. Shall the women eat their fruit, and the children of a span long? Shall the priest and the prophet be slain in the sanctuary of Yahuwah? The young and the old lie on the ground in the streets. My virgin and my young men are fallen by the sword. Thou hast slain them in the day of thy anger. Thou hast killed and not pitied. Thou hast called as in a solemn day my terrors round about, so that in the day of Yahuwah's anger none escape nor remain. Those that have swallowed and brought up thine enemy. Those that I have swallowed and brought up hath thine enemy consumed. And that, my beautiful people, is our reading for today. The last chapter of Jeremiah chapter 52, and the first two chapters of Lamentation 1 and 2. And tomorrow we'll actually finish Lamentations because it's only 5 chapters. So we'll read 3, 4, and 5 tomorrow, and we'll start in the book of Ezekiel. Oh my gosh, I love the book of Ezekiel. I love all of it, but I really love Ezekiel. Like, we about to see, it's like stuff in Ezekiel is like happening now, like the valley of the dry bones waking up and stuff. So it's super exciting for me, and I hope it is just as exciting for you. So that being said, beautiful people, it's Friday, July the 17th, 2020, day 201. And let's find the blessing back here in Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, May Yahuwah bless us and keep us. May Yahuwah make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon us and give us his peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. All right, beautiful people, I will see you bright and early on the morrow. Peace. Wait, Bella, wait. Ezekiel is my jam. Look, first fruits is coming up. I know people got a bunch of different dates out there, but according to the counting, as we follow the cycle of the sun and the moon and everything, and as we counted the Omer and the 50 days from 50 days from the it's the 50-day count. The 50-day count, then they say it's Pentecost, but it's first fruits. But that is actually this Sunday, July the 19th. And you know what else? The next new moon, the new moon, first fruits is Tuesday, which they call Pentecost, or they give it another name. Tuesday is actually the new moon. And then guess what? August the 19th will be the next new moon. I forgot what date that was on, but I wanted to say something about that, but I forgot. But I'll let y'all know about it tomorrow, because I'm going to go back in my notes, because I'm looking at a couple things and some things. I was like, that's what it was. That's what it was. The significance of this, not this new moon that's coming up this Tuesday, but the new moon that's coming up in August falls on August the 19th, 2020. What is significant about that date? That completes, what is it, 19th? No, the 20th. I'm sorry. Well, it was the day next to August the 20th. I was going back and forth with a couple different things. Okay. I know what it was. On a couple calendars, some have the new moon falling on the 19th and some have it falling on the 20th of August. I'm like, either way, it's still significant. It's like right there. But anyway, we know that August the 20th, 2020 is significant because it completes the 400 years of captivity of Jacob being scattered to the four corners of the earth. And I completely expect more hell to completely break loose throughout the earth. And as Jacob is being restored, we're going to see a lot of good things. And I think we'll start seeing a lot of bad things. And I think it's going to, I don't know, it's just going to get extremely interesting in the coming days. I truly believe that based on all that we've learned and all that we see happening and all the things that we know y'all said that has come to pass, and we know that he's not a liar. So everything that y'all says is going to happen happens. Remember when we were reading through, I kept pointing out this is a time marker. Every time Yahuwah said something, it happened. Now, we're taught, well, there's this saying in the church that JC is coming soon, but it's like they've been, okay, the whole point, I'm not even going to get into all that for the sake of an argument a few people might have with me. But the whole point of saying that is sometimes we're given vague dates as being taught in the New Testament or whatever. Don't put dates or anything. Not that you're putting dates or anything, but the whole point of that is they teach you vaguely in the New Testament when Yahuwah is extremely precise on times and things that he says. Like he said, at the end of the 400 years or in 2 weeks or by this time tomorrow. And that's why I say, you see the time marker, the stamp that he's putting on, he said by this time. And we read through, and it happened every single time where Yahuwah said by this time or by the time this child is able to speak, or by the time this child is able to speak, he will be eating an abundance of milk and honey. You know, like all of those things, it gives me faith, and it strengthens me knowing that Yah is not a liar. And I'm like, okay, how's all this about to happen and about to go down? You know, I got all kind of things that I be thinking about. Okay, this could happen like this, or it could happen like this, or it could happen like this. I'm like, Father, you ain't really told me. I just know that this is gonna be the end of this, and you're gonna begin to raise us back up to our rightful positions. You know, so I'm super excited about that. You know, so be mindful, look around, keep your head on the swivel. If you need to consider your ways, that's something you should be doing on a daily basis to make sure, especially if you're Israel, a part of Israel, Jacob, the bloodline, make sure you're not a rebel, because Yahuwah specifically tells us that he is going to personally deal with the rebels among us, and he's going to weed us out because they can't return to the land. And I'm like, shoot. You know, so consider your ways, not just the things other people can see, but the inward things that's going on in your heart and in your head, things that you may be contemplating doing that you know is not right, or things that you may be doing in secret that you know is not right, but nobody can see, but you and Yah himself. Those are the things you want to consider, because he's going to talk big about that when we get into the book of Ezekiel. He was like, son of man, come here, Ezekiel. Let me show you what the priests are really doing behind closed doors. Look at what the women are really doing behind closed doors. They put on this facade on the outside for all the people like they're doing what's right, but inside, their hearts are disgusting. Their hearts are nasty and filthy, and they're doing everything that I told them not to do. They're defiling themselves. They're defiling their children. They're defiling this land. They're defiling the stranger among them who is trusting them to lead them in the right direction, to bring them to me. He said, look at this. Look at this. He said, oh, and they're doing something more filthy than this. Come look at this. I'm like, oh, snap. So let us consider our ways on a daily basis. Not that we're perfect, but we can strive to be perfect. Yahuwah say, be perfect, for I am perfect. The law teaches you how to be a decent human being, how to live a righteous life, and how to be perfect, not only outwardly, but inwardly. You know, we make mistakes as we continue to grow, but those things are counted as if you honestly truly make a mistake and you did something in ignorance, I think there's grace there, because Yah will correct us and we have an opportunity to get that right. But if we continue down in that same unholy path, or whatever it is, to continue in that mistake, then we might have an issue going on, you know. So, but I'm just saying, The days are coming to a head, and I myself am super excited, but seriously, those of you who are Jacob, and even those that's not Jacob, consider your ways, because Yahuwah said that he will personally weed you out, so and it's going to be hard for some people, because some people are going to go that we're going to think like, oh my gosh, they weren't old, they weren't sick, what happened? I thought, a lot of times we don't really know sometimes, so, but I'm just saying, consider your ways. Yahuwah said he'll keep those who keep his commands. All right, y'all. So with that being said, I love you, and I'll see you bright and early in the morning, 7:30. Peace.